So innovation management is methodology for change. Okay. So আমরা শুরু করার আগে let's just try to focus on why to innovate rather than what to innovate. You see, for most of us who would like to use the word innovation in pretty much everything that we do, আমরা সব জায়গায় innovation শব্দটা এত বেশি use করে আসছি বা করতে দেখি যে we actually probably lost the meaning of innovation. So by the definition of innovation, it means to have something new or change the current way of doing things. So that's about it. That's what innovation is, right? So when we say innovation, we actually mean, as you can see on the image provided on the screen, innovation is actually a newer proposition which goes along with your existing business model, or it can create a new business model. We are going to look into that a lot more details. So this is what innovation is. Yeah, I would like you guys to have this in your mind, this image, and that's why I just gave an image, that it's new proposition along with your existing business model, or it's going to be a newer business model. So most innovations are smaller, gradual improvements on existing products, processes, and service. Mind you, three things are very important. Again, I will be discussing them bit by bit, no worries, but just focus on the emphasis that I'm making on the words. Let me repeat. Most innovations are smaller, gradual improvements on existing products, processes, and services, while some innovations can be those groundbreaking technological inventions or business models that transform industries. Let's proceed. Unfortunately, 95% of all product innovation fails. And this is a research done by Harvard, not just Harvard, by MIT. Even I had the privilege of being part of that research done by MIT, that why startups fail. That research became a proposition for corporates, that why corporates fail. And in some time, that research actually got this naming, that why innovation fails, right? So, well, technically innovation doesn't fail. It's the way the innovation gets addressed that fails, which is the point of discussion today. So innovation metrics, how to measure, as in like, how do you understand or measure innovation? First of all, innovation এমন একটা বিষয় যেটা আসলে measure করাটা, there is no standard. For example, if you want to measure um, the size of a television or a screen, you know it would be in inches or feet, right? There are standards. There are metric systems that we actually use. But for innovation, there is none, right? As in like, how do you measure a change? Because as changes can be of any shape and size, and from in every aspect, right? As we discussed, right? It could be a product, it could be a process, it could be a whole business model. So tinotar metric or KPI shouldn't be the same. So how do you actually measure metrics, measure the innovation? What is the matrix? So after discussion, and these discussions, by the way, আমরা এমন একটা সময় পার করছি, as in like after World War II, and like way after World War II, let's say the dot-com bubble and all the bubbles that actually came from the generation of Microsoft and Apple. Then when Google came, that's when we can actually understand that how people are addressing the whole spectrum of innovation and startup ecosystem. To give you an idea, did not even happen before the 1990s, right? As in like, there were business incubation, there were moments that people needed newer ideas, and people did. Like since the beginning of mankind, people innovated. But if you ask me, or if you ask anybody, in that matter of fact, that how do people understand that innovation is something that they need, and innovation needs to be calculated, needs to be managed? It did not happen before 1990s, and even in the 1990s, people were still discovering. And even till as late as 2015, people actually came up with how they should understand innovation. And আমাদের দেশে, as you all know, that the startup ecosystem, or and I have to actually bring startup ecosystem as there's a point of contact and conversation, is because innovation or startup ecosystem আমাদের দেশে হচ্ছে is very much interrelated, or if not, most of the time they are synonymous to each other. But that's not how it should be. Again, coming back to the slide right now, that ইনোভেশন কে কিভাবে বুঝতে হবে বা ইনোভেশনকে আদৌ বোঝার যে প্রয়োজনীয়তাটা, সেটাকে আমরা একটু ফোকাস করছি এখানে. As you can see from the diagram, on the horizontal axis we have the technology newness, and on the vertical axis we actually have impact on the market. So technology newness, as the word suggests, is the adaptation or the newness of the technology, নতুনত্ব যেগুলো আসতেছে. So if the technology newness is low, and by the way, when we say technology, it does not mean computer, it does not mean electronics. Technology could be anything. Technology could be mechanical. Just to give you a context and idea, have you guys seen, we know we all wear smartwatches these days, but have you guys seen those Swiss automatic watches? I'm sure that you have seen it somewhere, right? You see, the Swiss automatic or Swiss watches, the reason why they are so expensive is because they have technology in it. These are mechanical technology, but these are still technology, right? If you look into it, if you look the way the elements are connected, and me as in like I have a background of mechatronics, as in like mechanical and electronics engineering, so I had this fantasy, as in like the focal was to try and understand how this gear system worked. Just to understand how it works, it was 4 years of study, right? So technology, when we talk about technology, it actually immediately we have this mindset that it has to be tech, as in like it has to be electronic. It doesn't have to be. Anyway, so uh, when we go to technology news, sorry, I'm switching the camera for a bit for clearer view. So you see on the lower end of impact on the market, as in like how the market is adapting to it, or how the value proposition in the market is being measured. Incremental মানে হচ্ছে let's say the স্বল্প পরিসরে, right? As in like, if I have to make it clearer, যে আমরা হচ্ছে ধাপে ধাপে বা হচ্ছে স্বল্প পরিসরে যেই ইনোভেশনটা তৈরি হচ্ছে সেটাকে আমরা ইনক্রিমেন্টাল বলছি, যেখানে আমরা বলছি যে gradual continuous improvements on existing products and services. It's pretty understandable. So incremental changes to an existing product, this is what we call the incremental innovation. So that's one way of measuring innovation. If we go to on the right hand side, right, you have radical, and this is something probably I should touch later on, but just for the flow of the discussion, I'm gonna jump back and forth. So radical means technological breakthrough that transforms industries, often creates a new market. So the technology newness is very high, it's completely new, but at the same time the impact on the market is low. Isn't that interesting? As in like, if it's radical, why would the impact on the market be low, right? Let's go to the others and you'll understand why. So if I go from incremental to sustaining, right, a significant improvement on a product that aims to sustain the position in an existing market. This is something that you guys have seen and you guys see every other day. Incremental innovation is something probably you will not even notice, right? Let's say we all use credit card or debit cards, right? Some sort of plastic currency that we use. So in the plastic, let's say when I started to use, it was this magnet strip. Like later on, it became this very small chip, like the SIM card. So this was an incremental innovation. Of course, the people who have done it, for them, it was a big thing. But for the the impact on the market, right, it was not that significant, because you were still using the card. All you had to do is just probably one day you just went to the bank to change the card. Probably the card got broken or something, and then you see this new chip. And moreover, there are so many other changes that's actually happening to the card. Right? Nowadays, we didn't even use card. Uh, so again, I'm gonna keep this as an example. You'll understand why. So sustaining, as in like a significant improvement. Significant improvement is something that, let's say, um, uh, a MacBook, right? Or any mobile devices. So when you see an iPhone being changed from one generation to the other, if you guys remember from the six, seven generation, people have been saying that innovation died. Apple is not doing anything, which is true in a lot of ways. But they have been saying that we have innovated, right? We have speed up the processors. We have made sure that this have changed, and this is the presentation which they spend millions of dollars to just to tell people that this is the innovation that we have created. And for a lot of people, the impact is less, but for a lot of people it's more. Imagine when iPhone 10 came up, right? For a lot of market trends, this was how do I say this? For a lot of people, this was radical, and for a lot of people, this was disruptive. So when you ask people in general, they will use the term. Even the iPhone example is a good example if you can pick it up. That for a lot of people, it's going to be radical, is going to be disruptive, is going to be sustaining, and for some it could be incremental. So there has to be a standard, and there has to be an understanding among the people, right? As innovation is a word, as I said before, that it hasn't been used properly or probably misused a lot, it becomes difficult for people to understand which is what, right? So if you look at what we, as in like startup ecosystem people say, like me being a startup coach or innovation coach, when I go and talk to startups, or when they come and talk to me, they usually say that they have this $1 million idea, right? And it's going to be disruptive. Good. It's a good thing. It's going to be disruptive. And then I ask, is it going to be disruptive, or is it going to be sustaining, or is it going to be incremental, or is it going to be radical? And they usually do not have any idea what I'm talking about, right? So you see, disruptive innovation is actually a type of innovation, and there are so many others that we even fail to address. Let's move on. We'll get to understand a bit clearer at the end of the whole session.